everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back. I am here with JC. Hey, JC, how you doing?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And it's an amazing experience. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I can't complain, you know.
Do you ever get crazy, like when people talk over you? Do you ever find that annoying in a way?
I just keep
There's
raising
things
my
like
hand.
that sometimes annoy me too. Like things that drive you crazy in the workplace?
Like employee behaviors that drive us crazy. Let's talk about that. Like, employee behaviors that drive us crazy and what to do about it. I actually have a keynote in an article on this that I talk about 5 ways our employees drive us crazy and what to do about it. You want to hear the 5 ways?
Yeah, sure.
Trust me, there's more.
Okay.
Whenever I get on stage and say that, they're like, that's it? No, there's like 50 ways employees drive us crazy. But, I try to make it a humorous session about, reflecting as a manager or leader of like, well, maybe it's not always just the employee's fault. Number 1, employees don't listen. Number 2, they make so many mistakes. Number 3, they have no common sense. We'll talk about that in a minute. Number 4, they have entitlement mentality. No. And number 5, they just don't care.
It's funny you bring up all 5 of those like that. They kind of correspond to a situation I ran into recently with my friend Tim. He actually got fired from his job. He worked at the calendar factory that we have here in town. He took a day off. Jerk. Jerk, What's he thinking? What is he thinking?
Oh boy. Okay.
Could you imagine though going through your workday with like literally the no common sense thing though? Like that's one of those that you brought up there, right? No common sense. That's hard.
Yeah. So, let's talk about that. What is common sense? People think common sense, you're born with it. Well, it's not. This isn't Maybelline, you're not born with it. It's actual education. Common sense is a set of knowledge, skills, and abilities that has been taught to somebody, and then you hold them accountable, and you either, keep developing them up, or you teach them in a different way because they didn't get it. But so many of us forget that somebody taught us XYZ when we were a child, when we were a teenager, when we were a young adult, when we were in a workforce. And then we just magically think we acquire this common sense, and then we judge other people for it.
Yeah.
So next time you hear yourself, hopefully silently, saying, oh my goodness, that person has no common sense, really think about it. Be like, wait a minute, where did I get that set of knowledge, skills, and abilities?
No, it's an excellent point, especially when you're thinking about the core tenets of common sense. Just real quick: practical problem solving, situational awareness, clear communication, respecting policies and etiquette, protocol associated with that, right? Time and priority management, empathy, professionalism, learning and adapting. These things aren't just native to most people. Granted, you may have grown up in the garage with your mom or dad saying, hey, hand me the 10 millimeter socket. And then you got in that mode after 20 years of making sure you grab the right tool, or otherwise they're coming down on you, right? But through that opportunity, you learned situational awareness, clear communication, identifying straightforward solutions. Not everyone has that same opportunity.
No, they really don't. And the other thing, going back to some of my other key points, like they don't listen, or they make so many mistakes, or they just don't care. The entitlement mentality is a different thing there, but we'll get to that. It's often managers or leaders or somebody that has that title, even though they're not really managers or leaders, they just happen to have that title. They're usually the ones that are not using effective strategies of clear two-way communication, of training people, developing them, holding them accountable, giving them, hey, good job, kudos, or not so good job. This is what I'm going to do to help you out. We need to make sure that we understand as leaders, whatever your role is, that it's 2025, not 1990, and people learn differently. Nowadays, we're hiring people into our industries that have never been in our industry before. Why? Because we're desperate, because a lot of people retired. Unfortunately, during COVID, we've lost a lot of people in the workforce, period. And then on top of that, employees just don't want to work for bad companies. So if you are having a hard time attracting and retaining, you might want to grab the mirror, because you might be the problem. It may not be that the employee and their behavior that's driving us crazy is actually the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And it could also correlate directly to the culture and the environment that you have helped propagate, or you maybe didn't pay attention to. Sometimes that's due to lack of managerial training. And here's where I'm going with that, Ms. Wendy. problem manufacturing, solution hoarding. We've seen it a million times. There is no problem. Someone already knows what the solution is. They present the problem. They create a problem so that they can be the hero or play the savior. And it's all about seeking validation or climbing the ladder or trying to prove that they're better than others for their own benefit. And it creates a toxicity within the organization that a lot of people just don't want to be around. And then in turn, others just check out. They just don't care at that point. And it's a testament back to the culture.
It goes right back to the culture. It goes back to the culture of the company, the culture of top leadership, and then the culture of all the managers that are in there. So for the folks that are listening today that, maybe you're a manager new or you've been there for a while and you're saying, this company culture ain't that great and I need to leave or I need to try to fix it. Start small. Fix your team. Make sure that people are looking at you saying, my manager's a good manager. My manager doesn't call me, entitled. My manager doesn't say I don't listen because my manager actually listens to me. And my manager allows me to make mistakes. Why is it important to make mistakes? We learn when we make mistakes. Now, hopefully nobody died during making that mistake or something very, very, expensive, but it's okay to make mistakes. We have to understand that in order for people to really, really learn, we have to let them make mistakes, which last thing before JC jumps in with some stats here is, please, if you're a parent, let your kids make mistakes. I know it's painful. I know you're cringing and you want to jump in and do it for them, but let them make mistakes. Same for the people that are on your team. Let them make mistakes so they can feel that pain a little bit and say, ooh, don't want to feel that again. Thank you for letting me make that. And thank you for helping me fix it.
A big problem, a huge statistic regarding workplace behaviors. 85% of employees have experienced an annoying coworker, with 58% reporting that such behaviors do significantly impact their productivity. What do you think about that one?
Well, I think, hey, let's face it. Some coworkers are more infuriating than a dropped phone in a toilet. We're talking constant interruptions, the I'm always right attitude, and those who just can't seem to understand that the microwave isn't their personal chef. Annoyance is, it's going to get your good people to walk out the door, or equally as bad as walking out the door is quitting and staying. So they're doing their bare minimum. They're no longer engaged. They're no longer going above and beyond. So if you do have employees that do have behavioral problems, true behavioral problems, you need to address them. Now, if you don't know, I've written a few books, and one of my books actually outlines how to create or update company values. Why do I talk about company values a lot? Company values usually have words associated that are connected to behavior, like respect, respectful behavior, respectful interactions, things like that, trust, following through. Well, if you have company values and you put them in your job descriptions and all over your company, in your handbook, when you walk into your reception, your company values are there, then everybody knows, oh, these are important and I'm going to be held accountable to these company values, aka workplace behaviors in my company. And therefore, if one of my coworkers is annoying, are they really annoying or are they violating a company value? Oh. That's what I usually ask when my phone rings.
A violation. Let me ask you something. How do you address problematic behaviors, Wendy?
Well, it's not easy because there's no one size fits all. So, I just got off of 2 phone calls back to back today with some clients and then with actually a friend who was looking for some help. And I said, I can't answer that question because I don't know your company. I need to see your employee handbook because they may have other rules associated. So first of all, having a handbook is important. So if you don't have a handbook, please get one. If you don't know where to get one on my website. It's been vetted by the employment lawyer here in Florida and has a bunch of notes in there so you can look for other states as well. And so having a company handbook so people know what are the rules. Here are the rules, and this is what's going to happen if you violate these rules. On top of that, training everybody, and I mean everybody, not just managers, not just new hires, training everybody on the expectations of behavior at work. So making sure it's really a big part of the culture that says we act respectfully here, and if you don't, this is what's going to happen.
Addressing problematic behaviors in the workplace. It's critical. 51% of employees have experienced or witnessed workplace bullying. And this does significantly impact employee well-being and productivity. Only 58% of employees report the poor behaviors that they experience or witness. And that indicates a huge portion of incidents that remain unreported. There's a need here. There's a need for organizations to implement effective measures to address and mitigate these behaviors. It can help foster a healthier work environment. But Wendy, where do they begin?
Well, they have to feel safe enough to go to someone. Let's face it, not everybody's comfortable going to HR, and I don't blame them one bit. Sorry, folks that are listening. I know most of you have the HR hat. I think if you're listening to this show, you're one of the people that actually care about your employees and say, I want to always be learning more. But a lot of people in HR, they either, not even that they don't care, they don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth to be dealing with employees. So when employees come to them, the employees just see their look on the face and say, you know what, I don't feel safe here in this situation. And the other thing that I wanted to say, JC, is HR managers, leaders, directors. Listen, we all work for the company. So even if we're the most pro employee relations ever and employees first, the reality of it is, unless we're prepared to walk away from that company because of how they're treating people, we usually have to say, all right, well, this is what the company has decided, and I have to support that. Me personally, I'm one of the few people that would take the walk and say, nope, what you're doing is wrong, illegal, whatever it is. But not everybody's going to do that because it's expensive to lose your job and find a new one. But addressing problematic behaviors, it should come from the manager if it's minor, right? If it's something minor and saying, hey, these people are acting a fool all the time, or they're talking over folks or something like that, the manager should know, like, hey, I need to pull this person aside and let them know what I just experienced with them so that they know this is real. I saw it. I heard it. There we go. We want to make sure that the manager or HR, if they have to get involved, is incredibly specific about what happened, what just happened in this meeting, what you said violates our company values, and this is what we're going to do about it. So being very, very specific and not afraid to take action. Unfortunately, I see all too often where we say, oh, we're going to go ahead and write somebody up. And then I go, I want to see the write up. And it's like, you violate our policy. Okay. You didn't give me any discipline, or you never told me if I do it again, XYZ is going to happen. So I have no motivation to stop. Right?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
We have to make sure that all managers, supervisors, team leads, directors, and the C-suite are on the same page as HR to say, if somebody does this, I don't care if they're a superstar salesperson, if they've been here 27 years, if they do this, this is our bottom line. They cannot work here. Or if they do this, this is the progressive discipline that we're going to, implement. And we have to all be on the same page and be not afraid to make that call. I have seen way too often, people do virtual cartwheels down across the parking lot when the bad person finally gets fired. And it's like, whoa, if the whole team is happy about that, they've known what's been going on for a long time, and they've probably checked out as well.
So are you in instances before the person is gone from the organization focused on the person or the behavior? Let's talk about delivering that feedback real quick, if you don't mind.
I like to initially when something happens, I like to focus on the behavior, the action, or if it's like a productivity issue too, or like a project issue and they're making mistakes, let's focus on the behavior. Hey, we have noticed that in the past 4 weeks, you've been late. We've noticed in the past 4 weeks that you've kind of been a little disrespectful during meetings. What's going on? If you start like that, it gives them the opportunity to go, okay, I'm going through something. I'm in the middle of a divorce. I have cancer. I've been diagnosed with this. Whatever it might be. It doesn't give them an excuse, but it gives them that you, the listener, the concept to say, okay, I have tools to help you. Here's our employee assistance program. This can help you get a lawyer. This can help you, whatever the issue that is that you need. However, we still need to hold you accountable for your behavior and your actions back here. But if no one's ever talked to them about it, they may have no clue that their attitude, their behavior is unacceptable because no one has ever told them about it their entire life. So they didn't know. not only telling them about it, JC, but then also acting, saying, if it happens again, we're going to write this up. We're going to put this in your file. If it happens again, here are the next steps that are going to occur. Termination, demotion, whatever it might be, but being very, very clear and putting it in writing. For whatever reason, we see it in writing and we go, whoa, that's real. They mean it this time.
Fostering a positive work environment with highly engaged employees, they wind up outperforming industry peers by 147%. And in earnings per share and experiencing 21% higher productivity overall. That's a true demonstration that creating a supportive and inclusive workplace culture significantly impacts business performance and employee satisfaction. It's all about respect, right, Wendy?
It really is. It's about creating a culture of respect. And folks, this isn't just for the workplace. This is everywhere. Respect, communication, empathy, and feedback. They're not just for the office. You could be using all of these tools with your family, your friends, or, even your coffee person that you stop and chat with every day. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. What are their challenges? What are their motivations? Are they even the right person for the job? Did we hire them out of desperation? Well, that's not egg on our face, not egg on their face. Now, that probably still means they're not going to have a job, but that doesn't mean you can't give them a good reference because you hired the wrong person because you were in a rush. Respect is so, so important, no matter who it's for.
A 2016 survey by SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, found that respectful treatment of all employees at all levels was rated as very important by 67% of respondents. And that makes it the top contributor to overall job satisfaction. What do you think about that?
Thank you. I mean, it's respect is one of my company values. And when I help companies create their company values, I make sure there's some version of respect in there. The other thing that I did want to say, respect is a vague word because respect to you and respect to me, while they probably mean the same thing, they may not, based on our culture, our background, our family, where we went to school, where we didn't go to school, where we grew up. So you have to also define, what does the word respect mean? The bottom line is, we started out talking about, employees who have attitudes and behaviors, and specifically 5 ways our employees drive us crazy and what to do about it. But I really want you to walk away from today's session taking a good hard look in the mirror. Are there any behaviors you can tweak within yourself? Are there any behaviors within your team that you can tweak that, will create a more positive and productive work environment so that the word gets out that your team is an amazing team and everybody wants to work on that team? It's going to make it a lot easier to recruit when there's positive things going around on the internet than negative things. And so bottom line is the world is constantly changing. You need to be flexible. You need to learn how to adapt your approach to speaking with people who might be who you consider are disrespectful. Just take a deep breath and just ask them, hey, I've noticed this. What's going on? And then listen and then and only then act. You could still hold them accountable for acting like a jerk, but you may want to also send them to an EAP, an Employees Assistance Program, for example. Got anything at last comments, JC?
No, I don't. This was really, really informative, Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, folks, do you love JC's radio voice? It's not AI, it's real. Do you know that he has an experience as an event MC? So if you need an MC for your event, reach out by visiting jimconnors.net. We hope this information has been helpful. Don't forget to sign up for some free training options at my website, thehrlady.com. Thanks for joining us. Take care.